Liberty, equality, and fraternity. These were the principles intoned by the multitude which in 1789 took to the streets of Paris during the French Revolution. These principles were inspired directly in the ideals of Illuminism. The revolution fought against absolutism, but the people didn't understand these ideals. They didn't know what Illuminism was, and were easily manipulated by the leaders of the era. Lavoisier, scientist, experimentalist, also lived at this time. Lavoisier showed that breathing was no more than the slow combustion of organic material using oxygen, and is totally similar to what occurs with a lamp or a lighted candle. Lavoisier also discovered the law of conservation of mass, which says matter is not created or destroyed, only transformed. Marat, one of the mentors of the revolution, also had scientific aspirations. He once presented a paper to Lavoisier in the hope that Lavoisier would present it to the French Academy of Science. Lavoisier saw nothing in the paper to justify its presentation and refused to do so. Marat was deeply offended by this, and from then on he persecuted Lavoisier in his newspaper. Marat was assassinated by Charlotte Corday. He died a little more than a year before the tragic death of Antoine Laurent Lavoisier. The ambitious Marat plotted the death of Lavoisier and, ironically, did not live to see it. They were difficult days in the midst of the French Revolution. It was the start of a regime of terror, and in parallel to this revolution, another started in the silence of the laboratories. With his studies, Lavoisier revolutionized chemistry. The precision balance and the colorimeter were his instruments of work. He presented his experiments on animal respiration at the French Academy of Sciences in November 1791. It was a period of the French Revolution in which the despair and cruelty of some extremists of the new regime tarnished the splendor of the new ideas. After describing his experiments on animal respiration, Lavoisier concluded his lecture at the Academy, affirming, "I would like to end my presentation with a consoling thought. To be recompensed by humanity and pay tribute to the nation, it is not necessary to be called to public office, who work for the organization and regeneration of empires. Doctors can also fulfill patriotic functions in the silence of their laboratories and their studies. They can endeavor, through their work, to lessen the large number of diseases that afflict humanity and increase man's happiness and well-being. And if they have contributed by opening new pathways to healing, towards prolonging the average lifespan of human beings by some years, or even by some days, they should also aspire to the glorious title of benefactors to humanity." Sunday, the 8th of May, 1794. At the death of Lavoisier, the Academy was intimidated. No one dared to protest. Only the mathematician Lagrange, indignant, said, "It took them only an instant to cut off that head." But it is unlikely that 100 years will suffice to produce another like it. All who offered resistance to the regime of terror were executed. In this new Inquisition, people were persecuted not for religious motives, but for their political tendencies. However, the revolutionary ideals that deposed the monarchy ironically permitted the rise to power of another monarch. Napoleon Bonaparte, taking advantage of the political chaos instilled during the regime of terror, crowned himself as emperor. Napoleon and his generals were considered great heroes, but they plundered riches and stole works of art. At the end of the Napoleonic Wars, around 2,500,000 people involved in the conflicts had died in the whole of Europe.
Agora eu me pergunto, que herói é esse que leva seu povo a invadir nações vizinhas, provocando morte e destruição? Milhares morreram, milhões morreram. Não só morreram, mas outros tantos foram mutilados. Não só dos países invadidos, mas como do seu próprio povo, o povo francês. No meu entender, esse tipo de atitude, de liderança, não se distingue muito da Inquisição. E como vamos ver mais adiante, muitos outros homens que alcançaram o poder total, como Hitler, Stalin, etc., provocaram morte, destruição e sofrimento. Lavoisier, no silêncio do seu laboratório, no meu entender, está mais para herói. Ele procurava o bem-estar das pessoas. E como ele, milhares de outras pessoas que lutam, procuram, se preocupam em humanizar a nossa espécie.